Hello and welcome to another episode with guest. Today we have Steven Eugene Kuhn with me, and it's a fantastic honor. Steven,
Thanks
thank
for
you for
having me,
being.
brother. Appreciate it.
It's an absolute honor, man. I guess a bit of context. I met Eugene. We were part of the same M&A group, but we met at Dubai. And
Yep.
the first time I met him was on the stage of that Dubai conference where he told me later on that he was iffy when he was giving his speech, but I absolutely, I told him right there. I've told you before, and later on as well. We connected. I could feel that vibe of same frequency, man. So
Yeah.
it was a great
Definitely.
opportunity.
Definitely.
So maybe just so the audience gets to know you a little bit, maybe introduce yourself and what you do.
Yeah, my name's Steven Kuhn. I live in Turkey. I've lived in 10 countries before now, and I left. I'm 57 years old. I left for the military when I was 19 years old, got stationed in Europe, and I ended up staying in Europe and around Eastern Central Europe and then Western Europe, and then I moved to Turkey. I'm in the mergers and acquisition space. We got a $250 million investment fund for M&A, real estate, and sustainable energy projects, which my wife and I also do here in Turkey. Big, large solar farms, industrial-sized solar farms as well. So I'm a business coach that helps those business owners scale to that size.
Awesome, thank you, man. One way that I love the way you've described yourself, you are a multiplier, and I love that concept because in the field of networking, there's a lot of different
Yeah.
vibes and ways to explain it. But for me, what really connected is I'm a multiplier, and you present yourself as a multiplier. So what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is I leverage the hell out of my network. So I'm known as the solutions guy. So everyone comes to me with, you name it. I don't care if it's jet fuel, solar farms, painting your house, real estate, just about anything you need, bridge loans, funding, investments. People come to me because I know people, and I multiply the profits. I multiply my network. I multiply your network. I always say, people say your network is your net worth. I say my network can be your net worth. So I bring people into my network. I make sure there's a win-win on both sides. If both people are winning, you get a client, this guy gets revenue, or vice versa, or someone needs a loan and they get it, and everybody's happy. So I inject power into those relationships and ensure that it multiplies and multiplies and multiplies. And because of that, I keep getting more and more people joining my network, wanting to know me, talking to me, and speaking with me. So
Awesome, man.
Very, very powerful. Most people don't leverage their network. Most people say they do or think they do, but they don't. There's, we leverage our network for hundreds of millions of dollars in deals. Not earnings, but deals. And in Turkey we have two right now, over 100 million each, that we just met through our network. We fulfilled a need that they had, presented a solution, quantified that solution, and then we took our piece.
Awesome, man. It's fantastic. It's because you add value at the end. A lot of people, I think, that they're not able to extract that power of the network. It's because they just connect for the sake of connect, right? They want to kind of expand that presence, but it's not about adding value. You bring value, man. It's this. Hi, Olga.
Hi.
We bring value.
Yeah.
We bring value. She, in the form of her contacts here in Turkey with the high-level government officials and large business owners, in the 100 million range, and I bring the Western technology over. So it's the same thing we do in the investment fund. With real estate, we have a partner who's a real estate specialist. She's the Turkey specialist with sustainable energy, and I do the M&A. So altogether, you actually might know our partner, Anthony Lawson, who's also
Know of him, yeah.
in the same group. Yeah. So we're really pushing past what either of us have done before, as far as real estate goes and the investment fund. And it's actually proving to be much easier than one thinks, because if you don't think about it and you just do it, and you always focus on what's the problem you're solving, what's the solution, how do you quantify that solution, and how do you present it so the person who's receiving that solution sees value in what you're bringing, so you get paid for it.
And correct partnership for sure.
Yeah,
because really we were I can tell from my side, when I didn't know Steven, my network was not so big and I was missing a lot of opportunities in the life. Yeah. And now we are doing such kind of great deals, and everything through his network.
Yeah.
Well, that's easy for Steven when he has a superwoman, huh?
Yeah, sure. It's true.
No, that is awesome. Good to see you, Olga. it's exactly that. And it's about bringing value. Yeah. And you guys are absolutely rocking it. I follow along on your
Yeah.
social media, you know that. And,
Well,
it's,
it really is. I've never had in my entire life such an ease of deal making because it's gotten to be to the point where really little. I don't talk about anything. Like I live by 3 rules: receive what's in front of you, decide what to do with it, and let everything else go that doesn't matter. So if we're talking, you're talking about a million things. I'll zero in on the one thing that you absolutely need a solution for. I'll go out and find that solution, quantify it, tell you how much you're going to make. If I bring you the solution, then I'll take my piece. And it's simple as that. You're happy, they're happy, I'm happy. So hey, everybody's happy.
exactly, man.
Yeah.
But it's not also about bringing value in the form of money, which you have, huh? But is because you're the author of Humble Alpha, and that book is a fantastic book. Highly recommend it, please, guys. If you're listening to this, if you're watching it, go check it out, and we'll put the links on the description on the video as well. But a fantastic book.
It really is a great book, and not just because I wrote it, but it takes you through 5 steps on how to get to your optimal life and own your presence in life and become the epic leader you're meant to be. Epic leader, it means to you what it means to you. It's not necessarily the definition that someone needs to look up in a dictionary. But what it does is takes you through these 5 stages, and at the end of each chapter has a story, a lesson from that story, and then the action steps, exact action steps on you to get to a certain point where you can move on to the next chapter. And it's gotten so popular that there's universities in the United States that use it for curriculum. Even Harvard and Stanford have it on their desks right now looking at it, as well as coaches. Coaches use this book as it is for coaching their clients, including corporate coaches who do large corporations where everyone gets a book and they all learn from it. So it's pretty exciting to know that the way that I live and the way that I think is put on paper, and now university students and corporations are learning how I think and putting it to use. It's actually very, very humbling if you think about it.
It is awesome, man. Yeah. Now let's talk about your European influence, because you sprung in a little bit of Dutch as well. Huh? I mean, I've heard you speak German quite fluently.
Yeah.
So how's that affected the way that you've seen? Because being an European myself, you're American. I'm an European. There is quite a bit of a difference on how Americans and Europeans approach networking and business deals. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would say when I started in the business world, it was in Germany. I learned German on the border when I was in the military between East and West Germany. I was listening to what the East Germans were saying because I wanted to end the Cold War. So I was curious what they were saying. And then when I got out, I realized real quick, with Germans, you don't crack jokes like Americans do. Like every time you're, hey, cracking jokes and stuff like that. Meetings in Germany are very much based on processes and procedures, on finding a solution to, let's say, they'll have a meeting to decide who's going to fix the problem. They don't have a meeting to fix the problem, right? So first of all, have a meeting. So when you go through that and you realize that's what they need, you can shorten the process, collapse time in doing meetings yourself. And I ended up to the point now where I'm pretty good at just about any culture since I've lived in 10 countries, including Spain, where everything shuts down for a siesta. At least it did. I don't know if it does anymore. So I got used to all these different ways of working, but I found a way where I can still maintain my American identity, which is key for a lot of people in Europe and in the middle, especially in the Middle East. When you're competent and you're trustworthy and you're a Westerner American or whatever it is, you are actually held in very, very high regard, almost as a talisman sometimes for deals. They say, look, we have an American on our team. So it's gotten to the point where I'm very good at speaking directly to the people in the meeting and holding it in a way that isn't their way, but isn't the American way, but it's sort of a combination of both, where they appreciate the expedited version of their long German meetings, and I appreciate it's a little bit longer than I typically would do it. And I have to slow down sometimes, especially in Turkey. In Turkey, you don't even think about talking about the deal, the numbers, or anything until you've drank tea, had lunch, eaten dinner, talked a while, heard their stories, met their families, the whole works. Then that's building trust. Once that's there and they like you, then you can talk about business. If not, hey, great meeting you, nice tea and dinner. See you later. So yeah, it's pretty much how it works. So you got to get used to that stuff.
Awesome. Because a lot of people actually see it as a challenge, working, you hear this like, these I'll be like, working in multicultural, how do I handle culture integration into different backgrounds? You've taken that to the next level, man. Just integrated it.
Well, it's really simple, actually. Again, receive what's in front of you, right? Decide what to do with it and let everything else go. It doesn't serve you. You got to let go of what you think you need to do the way you're used to it. It's simple. If I go into a foreign country, I have to adapt, right? I have to adapt to anything, whether it's a culture, the way you rate the trains, the money you use, the language you speak. I got to speak slower. You know, we have some Western partners. We bring them over, and they have like a British accent. They don't even try to speak slow. They don't even try. And I'm just like, look, they don't understand what you're saying. I don't even understand what you're saying. Right? So, you know,
Could be.
Slow it down, my friend. You're not at home. You're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy. You know, it's like you gotta really be just a person who says, how can I communicate and express myself, get my points across so that they understand? Because true leadership isn't about, look at me. True leadership is leading in a way that the person receives it and can act and react best. That's true leadership. That means 100% adaptability, right? Most people can't do that. They go in, I'm American, we're the best country in the world, we're going to crush it down here, and all this kind of shit. And I just laugh. I'm like, you guys are going to lose. I can tell you right now. I will crush you guys. I will crush you. You have no chance. I don't care how big your corporation is. You act like that, you talk like that, and you operate like that. There's no way you're going to win this contract. So, you know, we're pretty good at winning contracts. Olga, as a female, ultra feminine female, in a Muslim country where men rule everything, she absolutely dominates because she doesn't do it their way. She doesn't do it my way. She does it her way, which is a middle way where she can adapt to both. High respect for the Turkish men. She understands how to talk to them. She speaks perfect Turkish, right? And she knows what the cultures and traditions are. So she plays on that and then presents it when the time comes right. And now she has these relationships. I mean, we just landed yesterday a $100 million deal, $100 million deal, another one, second one. And so it's pretty amazing that she just does that on her cell phone or on Zoom. You know, we'll fly to Istanbul every once in a while. We will meet with the guy. And me, as a guy that's been doing this for years and years and years, over 30 years, it's great to see that what I've been able to help her realize in herself, what she's capable of without me actually teaching her, because I don't want her to be me, right? I don't want someone I'm leading to be me. I want them to be themselves at a higher level, at a higher frequency. And that's what she's absolutely become. And that's how I used to lead all my people and still have friends to this day that I led through all the years.
Awesome.
So, you know, leadership is a big deal to me. It's a big deal to me, especially self-leadership, always being aware, you know.
That's fantastic, man. It's about maximizing the power of the people that you lead, yeah?
Exactly.
Oh, absolutely, man.
And leading in a way that they can receive it so they can implement it best according to their abilities and the way that they understand themselves. You know, it isn't about me saying, I'm the leader. This is how you got to do it. This is how you got to be a leader. You know, you have, like, for instance, there's leaders for everything. So General Patton, for instance, everyone knows who General Patton was. He was a wartime leader, the best wartime leader that America has ever had. But they didn't want him in peacetime. They didn't want him anywhere near anybody in peacetime because he was a wartime leader. And the same thing goes for corporations. Are you growing? Are you scaling? Or are you maintaining? That's different leadership right there.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, man. Absolutely. Yeah. So now let's get into the nitty gritty, because you know it's all flowers and pink when you're having success, but it's also important to know how to deal with the with downs as well. Yeah. So it's not always up. It's about dealing with the downs, and it's not just the downs on what's going to be my next deal and how to make it to my next deal, but what are the downs of going through that process yourself?
Man, I've been down. I mean, I had suicide attempt in 2008 after I was homeless. I was down. I was at the very bottom. Matter of fact, I was below the bottom. I was looking up through the floor. And it was tough. But what I always realized was that when I was down was I had this clarity of shedding everything that I was carrying with me before that I thought was important. And after my suicide attempt, I went into a monastery in Austria, a Benedictine monastery. I spent a long time there, 8 months, I think. And now you got to realize, when I left Germany to go to this monastery, I had 3 cocktail bars, a nightclub, a best-selling book. I was an MTV VJ. I did all kinds of creative news, talk shows, all kinds of stuff. Everyone knew who I was, right? One of the top nightclubs in Berlin. I was partner. And after 8 months, I came back, and no one even realized I was gone. Right? So that taught me one thing: no one gives a shit about you. Right? Until you're relevant in their life, no one gives a shit about you. And when you're not relevant anymore, they don't care anymore either. And so that made me realize, look, man, all the stuff I was doing all those years, I was trying to perform. I was trying to be the best employee or the best entrepreneur and all this kind of stuff to the outside, right? To the outside. And then I realized it's only about the inside. Because if there's something on the outside that bothers me, it's because it's on the inside. If it's out there, it's in here, 100%. So then you realize, wait a second, my entire life is dictated by the way I feel, think about myself and about my world. So if I get that right, won't the outside be right? I'll be damned. It works. But here's the trick. You do that when you're in downtimes, and then you get up, and then you lose focus.
Yep.
I made it. I'm doing it. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Next thing you know, you're on the way back down again. You're like, what's going on? Why is this messing up? And then you focus on what's wrong and not what's right. And you keep going down, downward spiral, downward spiral, downward spiral. And I've done it 3 times, my friend. 3 times I crashed. And now we're at a point where we're to the point where probably about a year or 2 will be higher than I've ever been when it comes to revenue. But I've never been more at ease. I've never been more at ease. It is incredible the amount of work that we do compared to the amount of revenue that we generate. It's not even
Freaking amazing, man.
Yeah,
I absolutely. I remember when you got off the stage and we were having lunch in Dubai, and then you mentioned your PTSD. I thought I knew it, because once you've gone when you go through a traumatic experience like we both have, and you've I've planned my own death 3 times.
Yeah.
You've gone through that as well. You understand it, right? Like you can see this halo of light, even though is sometimes flickering at moments. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and looking for that light, I guess, or letting it come to you. I almost say not looking for it, but letting it come to you. That's what happens, right? You give up, everything's done, and you're finished, and then all of a sudden, in the distance, there's a little light that was there the whole time, and you didn't see it because you were too blind looking for the big this and the big that, and I have to do this, I have to do that. You hang on to stuff. I remember my car was getting repossessed, and in Germany, and I was like, I can't lose my car. I can't lose my car. If I lose my car, that's everything.
It's the end of the world.
Yeah, the end of the world. And then I lost it, and I was like, "Phew, man, it feels pretty good." You know what I mean? Like that feels pretty good. Huh, that's pretty cool. And so we hang on to these things that we think we need, we think we have to have, we think we have to do. And you know what? You don't have to do anything. You don't need anything, really. Just to be who you are, you don't need anything, really. And I've come in more and more to that realization, to the point where, I used to meditate and do the morning routines and journal and all that stuff, but it always felt like a chore to me. But through the years, I've learned to stay in a state of like low frequency, I don't want to say low frequency, but low level meditation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always aware of where I am. I'm aware of what I'm hearing, what I'm listening to, what's going on around me, actions, reactions, the vibes, the energy, the fakeness, the not fakeness, the truth, and the authenticity. Like I'm always receiving, letting go what doesn't serve me, receiving what doesn't look so. So I'm always at this at this state of almost like a meditative idle, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
It's always started. I just need to hit the gas if I want to go in deeper. So I'm quite fortunate. I didn't even realize that until recently when I was talking to somebody, that's actually how I operate. And so I'm very in tune to everyone around me. I'm feeling what's going on. I'm adjusting and adapting, reforesighting and calibrating everything that I'm doing to make sure that I am presenting and leading and talking and doing whatever I'm doing to their frequency, right? So they get the most out of it. So they know how to move forward and not me. It's easy to be a leader like that, a dominant, direct leader. That's easy. Just scream and yell and, whatever. This is how you got to do it. I'm the boss. Make it happen. But when you lead according to other people, when you lead according to their talents, and of course you got to motivate them and inspire them. Of course, motivation is different. That's from the outside. Inspiration is from the inside, right? So you want to motivate people to inspire them, to bring it back out of them again, the inspiration, so that they then motivate themselves. Motivation, raises, cash. That's all short term. Short-term help. Long-term is inspired. When someone's inspired to get up every day, they're not motivated.
Absolutely.
They're inspired.
I love that concept, man. The difference between motivation and inspiration. What are the if you had to give a couple of tips on for leaders how to get to that point of stop motivating and start inspiring.
Well, motivation is short term. You can do it. This is it. We have this goal at the end of the month. We're going to do sales. And inspiration is like making that person a better person. Drawing out of them something that they didn't see in themselves before, something that they believed in, but no one else ever believed in them. The one thing that helped me the most in my entire life to this point as far as that goes, was the inspiration that I got from a guy named Mark Minter, who's the CEO of a listed company in the UK, where I had just taken over as one of the directors of Europe for operations and development. And he said, and he brought me in on this position. I had no experience at all. And so here's this company with 3,500 employees, 87 locations, 9 countries. And before that, I was like, working in a chain, just as like a regional manager or something. And I'm like, we're sitting there doing the P&L, and I don't even know what a P&L was at the time, honest to God. and he's telling me, and I was sweating, and it was hot. And I was like, Mark, I quit. This is not me. I told you I don't know how to do this shit. I don't even know why you have me. And he said, just shut up. And here's the key. It's in you. I see it in you. And if I see it in you, it means it's in you. It's there. Just embrace it. Wow. So he actually sees in me what I don't see. How's that even possible? And then I said, okay, I'll embrace it. And something clicked, and I absolutely crushed it. I absolutely, within a short period of time, took that company to places that had never been before. And they were like, and I remember to this day, whenever there was a problem somewhere, I remember Spain, we're starting to lose revenue and stuff. And who can we send there? Well, if anyone can do it, it's Steven. Off to Spain, off to Portugal, off to Switzerland, UK, Greece, Poland, Czech Republic, Hungary, Israel, and all these places, because they needed someone that didn't go in and fix just the financial structure or the operating structure, but got the people on board, inspired through the vision that they have and the mission that they have personally tied into the company's mission and vision. I hate using those words because it sounds so corporate-y.
But it is.
If my mission in life is somehow aligned with the mission of the company, don't you think I'm inspired to go to work every day? Hell yeah, I am, right? And so that's the fine idiosyncrasies. But motivation is like, hey, whoever sells the most today gets a bonus. That's motivation, right? That's motivation. And you watch the TVs up there, all right, Johnny, you're in first place or whatever. That's motivation. That's short term. Just like giving someone a raise. If they're not happy at work, you give them a raise, they're happy for a couple of days, and then they're still pissed off at the same thing they were pissed off at before. They're just making more money. They're just a richer pissed off. So it doesn't really do anything. Yeah.
Awesome, man. That is fantastic. And I love, because one of the challenges of, one of the concepts I actually play with in my book is the difference between networking and connecting. So what I try to kind of expose is that a lot of people in social media or even in business events, they're just handing over cars like there is no tomorrow, and there's no way they can freaking keep up track on all those freaking cars they left. So the point is, when do they, and I play with the concept, but I would love to hear your thoughts on this. When do you start playing with connection and start playing with networking and really start playing with connections?
Yeah, well, networking is about numbers, right? So it's attrition, right? And I remember we were going to a conference, and this guy's like, "Hey, do you think 1,000 business cards are enough?" And I said, "Well, considering there's only 1,000 people there, yeah. Number one, and number two, if you would calculate the 2 days that we're there for 6 hours a day and 1,000 people with 2-minute conversation with each one, you won't make it. So drop that, form 1 or 2 relationships there that make a whole hell of a difference. And you're going to walk out of there with so much more value than just everybody having your nice business card, who they're going to throw away or use for notes anyway, right? And so I'm a firm believer in that. What I do, I just got back from Florida, Olga and I spoke on stage right after Tucker Carlson, which is a world-renowned reporter, journalist, yeah. And it was a 3-day event. I don't know, 10 speakers a day or something like that. And I spoke, and then that was it. I sat outside in the hallway in front of the conference rooms, and just talked to people. And I had deep conversation, went to dinner with some people, went out to the bars with some other people, built real relationships. And now I've got, 4 to 6 clients, 4 now and a couple more coming, just because I was building relationships there. Not because I was passing out business cards, because I helped people. I had a guy coming to me crying, another veteran, said, "Man, I feel you, brother. I've been there and all this kind of stuff, and I need help." And he's a client now. Because I listened to him. I talked to him, introduced Olga. Olga talked to him. Then the wives came up of the men, and they were talking to Olga, and Olga started helping them. And now she's got people calling her, right, and wanting to do deals and wanting to do this kind of stuff. And that's because we took the time. I don't go to conferences to watch 20 speakers or 30 speakers. I go to conferences to speak, give my message, show that I can add value, then stand outside, wait for the people who receive my message the way that I intended it, and then we take it from there. That's how you network. That's
Fantastic,
build
fantastic, man.
relationships. That's how you build relationships. Even I was at a conference in San Diego. It's a big conference too. Mark Cuban, the owner of the Spurs, who's a very famous tech billionaire, it was his conference, and I opened it. God knows why they put me in the opening, but they put me in the opening. And then you had like Jocko Willink, this Navy SEAL, was after me, Tim Kennedy, and all these like big macho veteran people. And I opened it up. I opened it. I didn't watch Jocko. I didn't watch Tim. I stood outside, talked to all the vendors that were there. They were all veteran-owned businesses. I don't know, like maybe 50 of them. I spent 3 days with them, or 2 days or 3 days with every single vendor, going through the business, saying, hey, what do you got? Where's your issues? What are your problems? On the phone right there. Hey, talk to this guy. Hey, I'm going to call you. I'm going to hook you up with the so-and-so. They need this. Okay, boom, 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 boom. And the entire conference knew who I was after that.
That is awesome. Because there is such a rush in today's world of, I gotta freaking have, my LinkedIn needs to have 4,000 connections or 120, whatever it is. But the point is, there is such a rush in the up and coming generation of entrepreneurs of, I need to make myself known, which is great, right? Personal branding is fantastic, but one thing is personal branding with the network as a tool for personal branding, but a lot of people mistake that for connections. I'm connected. No, you're not. You just got a lot of people that clicked OK on your LinkedIn account.
Exactly. Well, there's actually people on LinkedIn. They're called Lions. LinkedIn, right? They're LinkedIn open networking or something like that. They connect to everybody. All they want is the most amount of connections as possible. It's like, why? What's the point? There's so much to be said for relationships. I would rather go to a conference with 3,000 people and make 2 amazing relationships and walk away and be happy than have to sit there and pass out my business cards and play, the attrition game. It's just a waste of time for everybody. No one's going to remember you anyway.
No. Especially if you just hand them a business card with 2-minute conversation. There's no way in 1,000 people event, 3,000 people event, you're going to be remembered.
No. Hell, I don't remember people I talk to sometimes because I talk to so many people, and so I literally write. So when I take people's numbers now, I've been doing this for a while, at the conference, for instance, I write, Roberto met at, in Dubai at the conference. I was speaking. He said this. Then I'll take a picture of us, send it to myself, and put your number in my phone with that picture of us with all the description. Right. So now I know exactly.
That's a good. I'm gonna write that down, man.
And I do it. Like, I'm like, hey, let's take a picture. And they're like, oh, cool. I'm like, yeah, it's for the contact. And then I remember what I was wearing, where I was, what we said. I know everything. And then from there on, it's just a memory jog for me. But look, another thing about networking, another thing about going to conferences or, all these places, people think you sign up for BNI, you go in a network, right? Well, BNI is okay. I'm going to be careful how I say this because my buddy owns BNI India. He owns BNI Corporate Connection India. It's at least the ones in Europe and that I've seen in America are a little bit lower level, people starting out almost, or people at the top of their game at a lower tier, that kind of thing. It's nice, but everyone is there for the same reason. I want to make money from the network, right? So at least it's open and it's honest about it. But if you go somewhere wanting all the time, that's an energy that everybody feels. Everybody feels it when you want something. So I go and I could give a shit if I get anything or not, because I know that when I go in there, I'm going to boom them to death with solutions and services that I can offer them from other people that I know and introductions and all that kind of stuff. And that creates a presence when you're present in the place, not worried about your preconceived notion of what you want, but you're only taking focus on what they need. So when you're focused on what they need, you're present. And when you're present, you have presence. And that presence is what attracts these people to you. So it's a whole combination of things. It isn't just like show up and stand there and, hey, come to me. No, they're going to come to you if you're at that frequency.
Yeah, it's not about taking but giving. I love that, man. It's really about giving and not taking.
Yeah.
And a lot of people,
knowing the law of reciprocity dictates it comes back. Like, honest to God, I was on a call this morning or on a discussion this morning, and I was almost a little bit mad, the way I was talking about. Everybody's talking about character and integrity and principles and all this kind of stuff. You guys are all talking theory, because everybody in here, the way you're talking, I hear you're saying it because you want someone to call you so you could get a client, right? You're not telling me this because that's what you believe, or that's going to make me a better person, or it's going to add value to my life. You're telling me because you're trying to get a reaction out of me so that I can hire you. And people were like, damn, Steve, like, wow. I'm like, yeah, tell the truth. And I was sort of mad about that. I got more calls booked today than I have in months, just from that one statement.
Because like, you call BS, man.
Yeah.
You call them BS.
Yeah.
And I love that because, yeah, man, it's just that it brings the wrong identity into the room, because when you're needy, when you're wanting something, then you can smell it, and especially people that have been through the loops like you can smell it, and then there's no really a relationship of equality there. I cannot present to you and say, oh, if I go there, he's gonna ask me for something.
Yeah, well, it's the whole thing is that preconceived notion of a specific outcome. That's what hinders. That's what blocks. That's what destroys that let's say that interactive frequency there. As soon as I have a preconceived notion of why I'm talking to you, there's no discussion.
I love that, because the concept how I called that concept in my book, I called that emotional dissonance. Yeah, when you're saying something, but you're not saying exactly that. It's kind of the opposite. And then it even at a subconscious emotional level, it disconnects you, because you could be telling me a fantastic story, but if I feel that you're BSing me in a way, then I'm gonna listen because I'm a nice guy, but that you lost me.
I know, it's like, well, Steven, have you ever? It's like, oh, here we go. Here we go. Well, Steven, very nice to meet you. When I was talking to Steven, like, okay, he's using my name. He's learned that. Okay, now we're going to go to the 2 examples, and then you choose one. And I can read so far ahead of where these guys are going. And I just say, look, man, stop selling and just talk to me. You'll talk to me. I will talk to you all day. Just talk to me. Forget about all the structures and the things you learned about all that stuff. Just talk to me. What's your problem? What are you looking for? Well, no, actually, I have this product. Like, I'm not interested in your product. I'm interested in you. Like, I'll go straight forward like that. Like, I don't have no qualms at all. There's a guy came up to me and look, I have a 3D printer, and and look, I printed a car for Shaquille O'Neal. Look, I did this, I did that. I'm like, awesome. What do you need? I'm just showing you that maybe you need something printed. And I'm like, I don't need anything printed, but what do you need? Like, what can I help you with? No, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm like, okay. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Yes. And he's standing. I left him standing there alone because I didn't know what he wanted. He was just vomiting on me. It was crazy. It was like, no. So I hate wasting time on nothing. That's why I don't watch sports. I don't watch TV. I don't do any of that stuff. I will take time and sit in a cafe all day long with my beautiful wife. I will take time and travel the world, but I'm getting impressions from the world around me, right? I'm not droning in on social media. I'm not droning in on the TV or the sports or whatever. Do it if you want. That's cool. That's all up to you. But I hate wasting time, and I really hate wasting my voice.
You know what? You're also leaving an impression on the environment. You're taking not only impressions from the environment. I know for a fact that you're also leaving an impression on the environment. So, but I wanna ask you, because in the heights, it's very easy to see all this wonderful world, yeah. But what are the tips that you will give when you are on the lows? How do you handle a path to success when you are in the lows? What are the I don't know if you call it mental constructs or practical tips, whatever. But how do you get to that point where you say, look, I'm freaking old. You're looking at the floor. You're looking up at the floor, like you said. What are the 2 or 3 tips? You could do 1,000, I know, but what are the main mental constructs or tips that someone who is not in the height right now should apply to start, prepping the foundation to gain the heights?
God, it could go forever. We could start out basic. We could go out, advanced. But I would say this: that once you realize that the world around you doesn't give a shit about you, so stop trying to do shit for everybody else to look good or to feel good or to make them whatever, to pay attention to you. Do it for you. Do it for your family, the kids, or whoever you have. Do it for you first, number one. Number two, if something out there upsets you, if a colleague is working towards you, against you, that's because of your energy. That's nothing to do with your colleague. That's your thing inside. That's your internal vibe, whatever it is. So that's what it is. If it's out there, anything bothers you out there, that's because it's in here. If there's joy out there, it's because it's in here, right? Focus on you. The entire world the entire world mirrors back what you feel inside and what you think about yourself.
Awesome.
If you think you're an imposter, people are going to think you're an imposter, right? If you think you're great, people might think you're arrogant. If you're certain of your abilities, they're going to say, that's someone who knows what they're talking about. You don't need to say, I'm certain of my abilities. Because of the way you talk, because of the way you hold yourself, the presence that you have, and how you present yourself, just through being, you will attract the right people, the right business people. And it just blows me away sometimes. You got to realize, let's rewind for a second. I grew up in Pennsylvania, right? Lived in many houses, mobile home, on a farm, townhouse, little box house, like one room. We did it all. We were poor as hell, right? And I was a loser in school. I didn't have any friends except for my twin brother and two other dorks. We were, and here I am advising world leaders, doing $100 million deals with Turkish businessmen. I don't even speak Turkish. There's a fly in here, man.
Yeah, I can see him. Well, he want to be in the podcast too.
And it blows my mind sometimes. That keeps me very humble, and I attribute that to the point that I never took myself too serious. Like, I never said, look at me, or I'm amazing, and all this kind of stuff. I never really took myself too seriously. Now I don't even care. Like, whatever, I don't even care what people think about me. I really don't. And it isn't a dismissive, I don't care. It's just that it won't affect the way I operate.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect the way I operate. It doesn't affect the way I deploy my knowledge and my talents in any given situation. It will not affect that. I operate how I operate. And that authenticity, that certainty that I have in my abilities to deploy my genius in any given situation, that is what people buy. That is what people buy into. That is what attracts people. It's not your product. It's not your service. It's not the way you dress. It's the combination of your certainty and who you are and your true identity.
That is awesome. Look, you talked about the law of reciprocity. It goes hand in hand with the law of manifestation. And I think people need to understand that what you're saying is kind of, you can theorize about this, but you actually put it into practical words here. But the universe or life or, whatever higher power, someone believes, it doesn't like emptiness. So when you create an environment where you manifest it and it needs to be filled, freaking life is going to fill it for you.
Yeah.
It cannot be empty. So for people out there listening, it's just about just project it. Yeah, work on yourself, like you say. I love that because you talked about working on yourself is really what matters. Because if you're going to present to the world, what is it that you're going to present to the world? You better present the best version of yourself.
And people say, well, what do you mean work on yourself? There's so many different ways. It's real simple. Everything you think, right? Thoughts become things, right? So what are you thinking about? What do you think about every day? You know what I think about? I think about things that I'm doing and things that are happening. And I build upon those things that I'm doing and happening. And I put in my mind that the things that I actually are happening in the future or that I wish to happen in the future, they're happening right now. And I tell myself that over and over and over to the point where they start happening for real. And I'm talking in massive ways. I'm talking massive, massive ways where it's like a waterfall. And once that starts happening, you gain momentum, and then you automatically attract things in your life, and you start seeing things, like I said before, that were always there that you never saw before.
Right? Yep, you're just more prepared now to see them.
Yeah, and you're not distracted by, oh man, and this and shit. I wanted that to happen. Oh man, that. It's like the want, right? People say, I want this, and I want to be a millionaire, and I want to do it. Well, want, what is want? Want is a perpetual state of not having. Because if you want something, it means you don't have it, right? So how do you flip from I want that to I have it?
Right? I have it, yep.
Well, the same thing is when you go to, I want to go check the mail. What do? Do you make a plan, strategy, stress out? No, you go and check the mail. And if there's no mail, you come home and that's it. There's no thoughts about it. You want to go get a magazine. You go to the magazine kiosk. It's not there. Do you freak out? No, you go to the next kiosk and you get the magazine there. That's that want attitude, that want energy is not a good energy to have. You have it already now. Everything you need in your life, you have right now. And now people are saying, oh, Steve, here we go. One of these guys that have made it. Now they're talking this trash. I mean that. And I learned the hard way 3 times crashing and burning. 1 time homeless, for real. I learned the hard way. Nothing on the outside has any influence on you unless you let it. Nothing on the outside can dictate your world unless you let it. And that, when I say let it, that means you buy into it. If you buy into the world around you, what you think you see out there, because you're actually projecting that, it's just being mirrored back. If you buy into that, that's what's going to happen. So don't buy into the bullshit. Don't buy into the loss. Don't buy into the sorrow. Don't buy into that stuff. Embrace it, see it for what it is, and move on. And know that this here and this here, the mind doesn't feel, the heart doesn't think. If you're just thinking something or you're just feeling something, probably not going to happen. Bring it together. Mind-heart connection.
Awesome, man. That is fantastic. And stay humble always, yeah?
Amen. Humble alpha.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. That was fantastic chat. I'm a big fan. You already know that. And I hope you continue to grow and freaking rock the world like you guys are doing. You and Olga, you guys are fantastic, man.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very blessed to have her in my life and to have met someone that at my frequency, if not higher sometimes. It really makes a difference. It really makes a difference in the way I can perform for myself and for her. I'm just saying, for her and the kids and everybody else. I'm a firm believer that the true masculine is a very, very humble energy. Like masculine energy is very grounded, very humble energy. And that only can come out fully if you have the true feminine connected to you.
Indeed.
Right. And vice versa. I truly believe that because I'm experiencing it now. And where I don't have to say what I do, that I'm powerful, that I'm masculine. I literally have people, like random people, say, "You're so masculine." Like I'm now a spokesman for a men's clinic in Florida because they met me at the conference, and they're like, "You're like the timeless man." I'm like, it's just weird shit, but it's so cool because I'm being who I am, and people are receiving me as a person that I've always wanted to be, and that I knew I was supposed to be. And now people are telling me I'm that without me telling them. It's amazing. It's amazing.
That's fantastic, man. It's for everybody to grab, man. People should understand that they all have to do is just grab it.
Anybody can do whatever you want in this life. Every single second of every single day is the opportunity to change what you're doing now, make it better, and start focusing on the things that you actually wish to achieve as if they've already happened, and stop letting go of the stuff that you know that you can't control and things that you say aren't happening. Forget about it.
Awesome. Thank you, Steven, for your time, man. It's been absolutely a blast and a blessing, man. So thank you for sharing that inspiration.
My pleasure, brother.
You take care, man.
Take care, brother.
All the best.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.